You bought a motorhome. You sat across from a salesman who smiled like he was doing you a favor. You signed paperwork thicker than a phone book. You drove off a lot in something the size of a city bus, towing a reputation that was supposed to represent freedom, and within the first 18 months, the slide-out jammed. The fake leather sofa started peeling like a sunburn. There was a soft spot in the floor that your dealer called cosmetic. Your roof vent leaked during a rainstorm in Tennessee, and when you called the manufacturer's warranty line, you sat on hold for 45 minutes only to be told the part was back-ordered from a supplier in China. You paid north of $100,000 for this, not including the campsite fees, not including the roadside assistance membership you had to buy separately, not including the $400 they charged you, and this actually happened to real owners, for a firmware update on the entertainment system, a firmware update on a motorhome. The American RV industry has been getting away with this for decades. Thor Motor Coach finished dead, last in quality rankings out of 10 major manufacturers, dead last, and they're one of the biggest names in the business. Their reviews read like a support group transcript: hydraulic motors failing, walls warping, furniture that disintegrates on schedule, as if the factory pre-programmed it to fall apart 3 months after the warranty expired. Winnebago is better, genuinely it is. But even their owners talk about slide systems that never quite work right, windows with no replacement parts available, and customer service that ghosts you the moment your warranty clock runs out. This is the industry that North America built. This is what gets sold on massive dealer lots with American flags snapping in the wind and salesmen in polo shirts telling you about the adventure lifestyle. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, Toyota has been quietly building a van for the past 50 years that makes every single one of these rigs look like a joke. This is the Toyota HiAce pop-top campervan, and it is going to rearrange your understanding of what a road vehicle is supposed to be. Let's start with the foundation, because it matters more than anything else. The Toyota HiAce is not a campervan because someone decided to throw a bed and a mini fridge in a cargo van and call it a day. The HiAce is the result of over half a century of refinement. Production started in 1967, 50-plus years of engineering on the same platform, each generation building on the last. These vans are so mechanically proven that they are the go-to workhorse in countries where reliability isn't a marketing slogan. It's a survival requirement in Kenya, in Peru, in the mountains of Southeast Asia, places where a breakdown doesn't mean a mild inconvenience. It means you are stranded, and yet the HiAce keeps going. Real-world owners report driving these things well past 400,000 kilometers without needing an engine or transmission rebuild. Not 400,000 miles, 400,000 kilometers. That's 250,000 miles. The powertrain alone is engineering mythology. The 6th-generation HiAce, the H300, launched in Australia in 2019, and it represents the most significant leap the platform has ever taken. Toyota redesigned it from the ground up, moved the engine from the cab-over position into a proper front-engine layout. That alone changed everything. Gave the van better crash protection, a genuinely flat floor inside, a wider body, and handling that actually feels like a modern vehicle rather than something you're wrestling through corners. The H300 earned a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, the highest possible, 7 airbags, disc brakes all around. This is not a commercial van bolted together in a hurry. This is Toyota building something to last. Now the engine. You have 2 options in the markets where this van is sold properly. A 2.8-liter turbo diesel that is the powertrain you want. Torquey, fuel efficient, mechanically conservative in the best possible way. Diesel engines reward patience. They don't rev hard, they don't make dramatic sounds, and they don't care about your timeline. They just pull, load up a full camper conversion with 2 people, gear, water, food, and a lithium battery system. And that 2.8 turbo diesel will haul all of it down a highway with the kind of composure that makes you forget you're in a van. Fuel economy in the real world is genuinely impressive for a vehicle this capable. And if you're looking at older JDM spec imports, the legendary 3-liter diesel, The 1KZ, or 1HZ, depending on the generation, has earned a reputation for bulletproof durability that borders on religious devotion in the van community. People talk about these engines the way they talk about old Land Cruiser motors: reverence, pure reverence. The exterior of the 6th generation HiAce is a departure from the boxy, apologetic silhouette of its predecessors. It's still compact by North American standards, deliberately so, because that compactness is a feature, not a limitation. You can park this in a normal suburban garage, a normal parking space, a ferry lane, a spot in a city center that a full-size American motorhome couldn't come within 50 yards of. It's a proper van shape, upright, purposeful, with clean lines that don't try too hard. And then the pop-top roof goes up, and the van transforms. That straight-lifting full-length roof, engineered specifically for the Australian market and its brutal summer climate, raises the entire ceiling and turns what looked like a modest work van into a standing room habitat. 3 fly-screen windows in the pop-top allow air to move through the living space. It breathes. In summer heat, that matters more than any air conditioning unit you can bolt to a roof. Speaking of which, the interior of a properly converted HiAce pop-top is one of those things that stops people in their tracks the first time they see it, because it shouldn't make sense. A vehicle this size, one that fits in your garage, one you can drive like a car, should not have room for this. And yet, Australian conversion specialists like Frontline and Nomad Vans have been perfecting the interior layout for years, and the results are genuinely impressive. The U-shaped rear sofa folds down into a queen-size bed that measures up to 1.9 meters by 1.44 meters. That is a proper bed. Not a technically, you can sleep on this if you curl your legs sideways, sleeping surface, a real bed, in a van you drove to the campsite yourself. The kitchen sits up front, positioned behind the driver's seat, with a dual-burner gas stove, a stainless steel sink plumbed to a proper freshwater tank, and a full 80-liter fridge and freezer running on 12 volts. Storage is engineered into every possible cavity: drawers, cupboards, underbed compartments with a discreet rear boot that you access from the tailgate. The Australians figured this out. They took Japanese engineering precision and applied it to a living space, and the result is something that feels more considered, more intentional, and more honest than anything you'll find in a Thor showroom. The electrical system in the modern conversions is where things get genuinely impressive. Off-grid lithium battery packs, DC to DC charging from the van's alternator while you drive, a 1,000-watt 240-volt inverter for running real appliances. The system is built around the assumption that you will be somewhere without shore power, because in Australia, that's the default. The country is enormous, the campsites are often remote. You don't count on being plugged in. You build a van that doesn't need to be. This philosophy, self-sufficiency by design rather than by accident, is baked into every decision made on a well-converted HiAce. It doesn't ask you to change your camping plans around its limitations. You go where you want to go, and the van handles the logistics. Now let's talk about the van that North America keeps trying to sell you as a competitor. The Mercedes-Benz Sprinter is the darling of the upscale campervan world. It's photogenic, it wears its German badge with confidence, and it commands prices that should include a personal apology from the dealer. A new Sprinter-based campervan conversion in the United States regularly lands above $120,000. Sometimes significantly above. What you get for that money is a Mercedes chassis with a camper body bolted on by a North American company that may or may not have thought deeply about how the thing actually lives in the real world. Mercedes dealers are notorious for refusing service on Sprinters that have been converted. They consider the vehicle altered, and that's their excuse for washing their hands of your warranty claim. So you have a 6-figure campervan and a service network that may ghost you the moment something goes wrong, and something will go wrong. The Ford Transit-based conversions are more approachable in price, but bring the Transit's own documented history of turbocharger failures and transmission concerns into a vehicle where reliability isn't optional. It's the entire point. You're living in this thing. You are hours from a dealership. You cannot afford a drivetrain that decides it's done. The Winnebago Travato, which lives on the Ram ProMaster chassis, is a genuinely thoughtful product from one of the better American manufacturers. but owners consistently report first-year warranty nightmares, components that feel premium until they're not, and a post-warranty support infrastructure that goes quiet with alarming speed. At prices that regularly approach $90,000 to $100,000 for a new unit, you're paying professional class money for what frequently turns out to be a prototype class ownership experience. The Toyota HiAce Pop Top, bought new as a converted campervan in Australia, comes in at roughly 85,000 Australian dollars. With the exchange rate, that is a significant premium over buying it locally. But that misses the point entirely. The point is what you are getting per dollar. You're getting a Toyota drivetrain that will genuinely outlast the competition. You're getting a conversion built by specialists who have been refining the same platform for years. You're getting a vehicle with a 5-star safety rating, a proper warranty, and a parts ecosystem that spans the globe. Toyota parts are available in virtually every country on Earth. That is not a marketing line. That is a practical reality that matters when you are 3 hours from the nearest town. Now, here's where the story gets complicated, and also, depending on where you live, where it gets very interesting. The Toyota HiAce, in its modern 6th-generation form, is not sold in the United States. It never has been. Toyota made a strategic decision decades ago to focus the North American market on its Sienna minivan and its Tacoma and Tundra truck lineup. The HiAce, despite being Toyota's most popular van globally, genuinely more popular than any single product Toyota sells in North America, was deemed too different for the American market, too right-hand drive for the older generations, too narrow for American highway speeds, too honest, perhaps, for a market that had been trained to equate size with value. Whatever the reasoning, the result is the same. In the United States, this van is effectively blocked. You cannot walk into a Toyota dealership and order one. The 25-year NHTSA import rule means that modern examples are completely off the table for American buyers through normal channels. Right now, the JDM units becoming eligible for U.S. import are late 1990s models, and while those older diesel HiAces have their own loyal following, they are a different animal from the current H300. North of the border, however, the story changes dramatically. Canada operates under a 15-year import rule for most of the country. That means JDM and Australian spec vehicles from as recently as the mid-2000s can be legally imported, registered, and driven, and people are already doing exactly that. Dealers in British Columbia, in Surrey, and Vancouver have been bringing in HiAce campervans from Japan and selling them to a growing community of buyers who understand what they're getting. The 2005 generation HiAce became eligible for Canadian import in 2019, and quietly, methodically, enthusiasts started moving. They're importing them, registering them, driving them across the Rockies and down the coast and up into the Yukon. They're not making noise about it because people who find something this good tend to hold it close. The JDM versions come with the 3-liter diesel, that same legendary motor, and while they're right-hand drive, which takes adjustment, the community of Canadian owners will tell you that the adjustment period is measured in days, not weeks. After that, you wonder why you ever needed the wheel on the other side. For American buyers who want one now, the pathway is narrow, but it exists. Pre-1999 models qualify under the 25-year rule. There are importers operating out of California and the Pacific Northwest who specialize in exactly these vehicles. The older HiAce pop-top campervans, the ones with the raised roofs, the compact cab-over profiles, the JDM spec diesel engines, have become something of a cult object on the West Coast. They show up at overland events and national park campgrounds surrounded by vehicles that cost 4 times as much, and they attract a specific kind of attention. The kind from people who know. People who look at the van, then look at the owner, and then ask the same question every time. Where do I get one of those? The answer to that question is getting easier. Importers are getting better at the process. The community of North American HiAce owners is growing. Forums, Facebook groups, YouTube channels dedicated entirely to the van. The knowledge base is expanding faster than it has at any point in the vehicle's history. And as more of the newer generation JDMs age into Canadian import eligibility, the wave is going to grow. The people who get there first are the ones who understood what was happening before it became obvious to everyone else. There is a category of vehicle that gets called honest. It is a specific word that gets applied to specific machines. A Land Cruiser 70 series is honest. A Toyota Land Cruiser HJ61 is honest. An old Mercedes G-Wagon diesel is honest. These are vehicles that make no attempt to impress you with features they cannot back up. They do not have 10-inch screens to distract you from the fact that the chassis is questionable. They do not have heated seats designed to offset the lack of structural rigidity. They are what they are, completely, with no apology and no performance. The Toyota HiAce pop-top campervan is honest in exactly this way. It is a van. It is a good van. It has been made into a living space by people who thought carefully about what a living space in a van actually needs. It runs a drivetrain that has been proven over decades across some of the most demanding operating conditions on Earth. It fits in your garage. It parks like a car. It will start on a cold morning when you're 3 hours from a campfire, and everything in your life depends on it. And it will do that reliably, not because of marketing language, not because of warranty legalese, but because of physics. The physics of an engine that was engineered conservatively and built carefully and has been refined for 50 years. The RV industry in North America has grown accustomed to a customer base that accepts mediocrity because they don't know the alternative exists. Peeling fake leather. Slide-out mechanisms held together by hope. 6-figure price tags for what amounts to a house built by people who had no financial incentive to make it last longer than the warranty period. They got comfortable. They built systems that kept you coming back for repairs, parts, upgrades. They built the ownership experience around dependence. The Toyota HiAce pop-top campervan is not part of that system. It never has been. It was built for a market that demanded more and rewarded honesty, and the proof is in the pavement. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers of it, logged by vans that were never supposed to be remarkable and turned out to be the most remarkable vehicles on the road. The American RV industry spent 50 years building you a $100,000 problem. Toyota spent 50 years building you a solution. Just took this long for the solution to make it to your side of the world.